Hi there, I'm Rebecca Rydstrom, and I'm with Alumni Relations. I am thrilled to offer this evening's event. It's the first part of a series of 3 events looking at financial health. Financial health is a hot topic right now. It's very important and has a lot of different facets to it. The first topic we'll be talking about this evening will be the foundations of budgeting, how to pay off your debt and build your path to financial success. So I'm thrilled to welcome one of our own alumni, Dr. Khadijat Rashid, who's Dean of the Faculty at Gallaudet University. She will be sharing her knowledge with all of you. And at the end, we'll be taking questions from the audience. Please make sure you put them in the chat box, and then I will be signing them into American Sign Language for Dr. Rashid. So I'd like Dr. Rashid to come on now. Hi, everyone, and thank you. Okay, let me just fix my view. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I really appreciate that introduction.
I'm going to go head off camera and let you begin.
Oh, okay, great. All right. Hi, everyone. I wish I could see all of you in person, but sadly, this is the format we have to use, and I'm here by myself, so it goes. And I'd like to say hello to my fellow alumni of Gallaudet. I am a proud member of the class of 1990, well, 89, 90, but still, I'll take either year. So Rebecca asked me to come and talk about this topic, of which I am very passionate about. And it's something that I think all of us need to know more about, and something that I really wish that was taught in schools, you know, basic things in terms of finance, how to purchase a house or a car, you know, to live your life with money. You need it for food shopping, for buying clothing, I mean, education. You think about even raising your own children. Everything revolves around money and finances. And most people don't know how to manage their finances, or they make a lot of mistakes. Overspending money, wasting money, investing in the wrong things, or not investing at all. And I wanted to let you know that it's okay if that's the situation that you're in or have been in. It's never too late, right? You can be part of the Gallaudet University Never Too Late Club with me. It's never too late to get your finances in order. So tonight we'll be talking about financial health, and I was thinking about what Rebecca mentioned. It is a very big topic. It's very important. And so, you know, I'm trying to fit this all into one night. Again, this is 3 series, so I'm not going to bring you through all of the topics in depth in one night. I only have an hour. So what I'm planning then is to start tonight with a basic introduction, just having a conversation with you, and then you can ask me questions at the end. You can type them into chat, and then I'll do my best to answer them. So tonight I'll start a little bit more broadly with some general information. If you want more specifics, then please ask me when it's time for QA, and I'll try my best to answer them. I'd like to thank you in advance for sharing this next hour of your time with me. So I'm going to open with the first slide, if people are okay with that, so you can get a sense of where we're going. Okay, next slide, please. Here we're going to talk about financial health, vision, and goals. I want you to think about what's your goal and why you're here. When people think about financial health and budgeting, they think, okay, I have to pay down debt and have a lot of money in savings and maybe a little bit in investments, but that's really putting the cart before the horse. Financial health starts with you figuring out, what is your goal? What kind of life do you want? What's the vision you have for yourself and where you're going? Because money is really tied into all of that, and it's key to living the life that you want to live. And so you're going to want to spend, you know, your life's energy is spent at your job 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, right? So are you spending your whole life earning money only then to not really know what to do with that money other than to spend it all? I think it's important to start with thinking about what's the goal? What are you hoping to accomplish? Where do you want to go? Why are you here? And the next point after that, I have start at the end, meaning figure out what your goal is. Where do you want to go? What's your goal? And then work your way backwards to figure out how to get there. So maybe your goal is that you want to pay for college for your children, or you want the kids to pay for college themselves like you did. That's fine. Maybe you want to have enough money to have a comfortable retirement, or to be able to buy a new car within the next 5 years, or any of the possible goals that you could think of for yourself. So I want you to think about your goal at the beginning and then work your way backwards, because you need a goal so that you can know why you are working so hard and saving all of your money. If you're just trying to save money, but you don't have a goal in mind, you're going to quickly lose motivation for saving up all that money. And once you get a nice sum saved up, you'll be tempted to spend it all. So in order to be careful and keep on the straight and narrow and save everything that you're earning, you need something to work towards, something you need to accomplish. The third point here is to think about your values and beliefs around money. Many of us have beliefs and values that are subconscious for us. We often don't realize that we do have those values. So some people think, oh, money is something that's just easy come, easy go. No matter what happens, money will always be there. And that's how some people live their life, and they seem to do fine with that. Some people's values are based on fear, where they realize that money is scarce and it's a resource they need to hold on to, because you never know when you're going to lose it or when more of it's going to come around. And there might be problems that their family is going to be facing in the future. And so they're led by fear. Whereas some people value family, and they would rather earn their money and then spend their money on their family, either themselves or their children. You know, their thought is, I work hard for my money. I should be able to enjoy my life. Which is fine for the here and now, but then what happens later when you're in your 60s or your 70s, right? How are your values going to change as you get older? And many people's values do evolve as they age. So it's interesting to sort of think about, where do my values come from? What are the values I want to keep? And what are the ones I need to change? Maybe being led by fear isn't the best value. It's okay to have a healthy fear of money. There's a huge psychological aspect to money, but one of the largest areas of finance actually is neurofinance, or a neuroeconomy, you know, the realization that people are often led by very strong emotions and how they handle their money. So that's also a huge part of financial health, is understanding your values and beliefs around money. It's also important to understand these beliefs as well as the story we tell ourselves about money. People say, oh, well, my parents always gave me money. It's no big deal. I just spent what they gave me. And other people were taught that they really have to save a whole lot. Lastly, this quote here, if you don't know where you are going, how will you know when you get there? If you don't have a clear idea in mind of where you're going, you never know when you actually accomplish that goal. Okay, next slide. And if you could bring up all of the points on the slide, keep going. Yeah. There should be a second page. So one thing when you look at for money management is that it gives you peace of mind. Taking control of your finances will give you a larger peace of mind than just ignoring money and all the problems that come with it. People won't even look often at their account balance. They feel guilty about the amount of money that they're spending and not saving, because they know they're overspending, and they just feel so guilty and so bad about it that they just try to hide their head in the sand and not even deal with it. Guilt is never going to get you anywhere. If you just feel guilty all the time, but you don't act on it, then nothing's going to change. If you really want to do better, you have to get over the guilt move past it and really focus on how you can improve. And once you start improving and doing better with money, then you'll see all the many benefits that come from taking control of your finances. You tell the money where you want to go. You don't let the money tell you where you are going to go. Think of it like almost like a career ladder. A lot of jobs now, in order to advance, they'll check your credit score. They'll check your background financially. If you have had financial issues, they won't even hire you to let you in the door of a company, let alone let you advance within a company. So knowing what your bank account is, knowing what your balance is in your bank account will really give you a lot more peace of mind. You can be true to yourself. You'll have a lot more confidence. You'll have a lot more skills as you move up your career ladder, and you can do what you want, right? You could do this job, or maybe you'll earn enough to be able to travel for 6 months out of every year because you've saved for it, right? It gives you a sense of safety and a safety net. You know, a lot of younger people say they don't like budgeting or having to save because they feel limited and then they can't do the things they want to do and there's no freedom. If you save enough money, eventually you can buy your own freedom with that because you can afford to do other things. So you can afford to do things in life and save money at the same time too while you're still working, which is better than working your whole life and then at the end you have no savings and then you really have no freedom. So saving makes it so much easier for you to do what you want. Okay, now we're going to have a pop quiz. So I'm going to put this quiz on screen.
That's okay. I can just read the questions that are on the slides I can see here. Okay. Oh. So the first question is about credit cards. And have you thought much about saving money? Have you thought about Social Security? I know that as people get older, you have to think about the money you're going to need as you retire. Have you had arguments with your partners about money? I mean, it really can affect you on a daily basis in ways that you don't even think about. So just kind of want to think about broad outlines of money management. The second and third workshops will go into more detail, but this is just to get us thinking, to have us start to do some self-evaluation so that we can be prepared for those more in-depth discussions down the road. So we'll have more details about money management later. But right now, everyone are living in different parts of the country, different parts of the world even. Maybe some of you have recently graduated. Maybe some of you are on the verge of retirement. So these tips and ideas will really be applicable in very broad strokes to everyone. And then we can get into more detail with questions or later down the road. Okay, let's see. I want to talk about money management. Let's go to the money management slide with budgeting and money management. So budgeting is crucial. It gives you freedom, like I said earlier. What I see as a problem with many people when they're budgeting, they're thinking about what they need right now, what they need for rent, what they need for food, what they need for transportation, maybe what they need for clothing. They're keeping it very narrow. But they're not looking at annual expenses or they're not thinking ahead. For example, I pay my water bill every 3 months. It's not a monthly bill. So I have to budget for the fact that I'm going to get a water bill in 3 months so that I don't get taken by surprise. Other people often talk about the fact that they want to go on vacation but haven't budgeted for it. Also, think about this. Christmas, it happens on December 25th every year, so you know that it's coming. It shouldn't be a surprise. You should be budgeting for it all year long. If you like to have a cookout on July 4th, It's only on July 4th, so you start budgeting for it. The same thing for different holidays or other kinds of holy days where you may have different celebrations. Budget for gift giving, because often people don't, and then they are taken aback by that. People are going to get married, people are going to have children, birthdays are going to occur, and you're going to want to be able to provide gifts for your friends and family for those events. Another one is being prepared for car repairs. Cars are going to break down, so you got to be prepared for that. That's not a surprise. So cars are in fact designed to break down. You're going to need oil changes. You're going to need to do maintenance in your house. I had a leak just in my roof last week. I had to be prepared for that. So we can prepare in advance for those things. They don't have to be emergencies. Life happens. You can put that kind of on your budget as a title, the life happens line of your budget. Things are going to come up, and if you are prepared and budget appropriately, it won't be a problem. So when your car breaks down, or when you have an issue with your home, you get in a car accident, well, hopefully, obviously, something that doesn't cause too much bodily injury, but just normal life events that occur, if you properly budget for them, then you will have money for those expenses. You don't know when you're going to need to spend money on those expenses, but you know that they will occur. So then this way, you're not taken by surprise. So if you think an average car repair is going to be $1,000, budget appropriately. Budget $75 a month. You don't know when it's going to happen, but one day down the road, you're going to get a flat tire, and you're going to need to replace your tire. And guess what? You're going to have the money for it. You're not going to be taken by surprise. You're going to be prepared. It gives you that freedom. Many home buyers make a mistake by what they'll do is they take their paycheck, let's say it's $1,000, and then after taxes, they get about $800, okay? And then by the time you pay your expenses, you've spent $800. That's not a good idea. You always want to, and this is really important, to pay yourself first. You're the one who deserves the money first. You've worked hard for it. So you don't want to be in a position where all of your expenses add up to the amount of money you have left over to spend every month. So you want to pay yourself first, put that away in savings, because if you think about over a lifetime, you'll be surprised at how much money you will earn. And if you think about all that money you've earned, many of us aren't paying ourselves first, and we only have very little left over for ourselves because we end up spending most of what we earn. So pay yourself first. Put that aside for yourself. As you get older, as you need the money, whatever purpose that you need it for yourself, put that away first. Then you should have another fund for that life happens budget line, like I just talked about, when things come up that are unexpected. So you've paid yourself first, then you've got your unexpected fund or life happens fund with things that will happen. We just don't know when. And then if suddenly something comes up and you have an expense, you've got some sort of ants in your house, or you need some sort of person to come in to spray for bugs, or things that you haven't expected, or maybe a family member passes away and you need to go to a funeral, or perhaps somebody gets married and you need to travel to their wedding. You've got that money. So you've got your pay yourself first, you've got your life happens, and then after that, that's when you can start to think about your other expenses. Your insurance, your water bill was one example I used, or any kind of car issues that you may need to replace. So your food, your housing, your general expenses for entertainment, that should be about 70%. but you should just be living on 70% of what you take home. That way, and if you don't, it's a real quick way to cause lots of issues with money. Because even though you may be able to pay your bills with what you're making, if you don't have that cushion, the moment something goes wrong, then you're going to have problems. You're going to have problems. So that's why I say you should really have that cushion. And the guideline, it's not all like a firm, everyone must follow this, but in general, you should have 60 to 70% of your after-tax expenses are for living expenses. So it's more fun to spend money than to save money, right? So I always say, whatever you earn, even if what you earn is not very much, try to save a little bit from every paycheck. You should get in that habit, because the more and more you earn, you don't want to be in a position where the less and less you'll be able to save. So let's say if you earn $50,000 a year, when you're young, you think, oh my gosh, $50,000 a year, I'm going to be able to save so much. But when you reach that point and you realize how expensive your expenses are, $50,000 doesn't seem like very much. And you think, well, it's all right. When I make $60,000 a year, I'll be able to save. And then you get up to 60 and you've now had a family, or you have a position where now you say, oh, no. When I get to 70,000, that's when I'm going to be able to save. And the bar keeps moving to the point where you don't have any money saved. So that's why it's good to get in the habit, even if you're not making very much money at all, to be able to put a little bit aside every check. And for some people, if it's not possible, it's understandable. But when you get a raise, this is new money that you didn't have before. Take half of what you got in the raise and put it in your savings. And then the other half is yours. That way, you don't feel like you're really missing out on anything, because this is new money coming in. So if you get a raise, it's recommended you put half of that away. And I really strongly encourage all of you, whether you be 25 or 75, if you are still working, contribute something to your retirement. Most of us are going to get older one day. And in the United States, the life expectancy for women, with Social Security only paying maybe a third of your expenses, you're going to need to save for retirement. So I'm 53 now, which happened, it feels like overnight. I feel like yesterday I was 25. I'm 53 now. And so you've got to be planning for as you get older. So you get benefits like tax benefits for savings. There's all kinds of benefits to putting money away for retirement. Some of it's even free money. So do not delay on that. Start putting away now for retirement. Let's see. Oh, let's go to investing. Yeah. So investing. People get this often confused with savings. Investing and savings are not the same thing. Saving is money that you put into a savings account as kind of a safety. Savings is safety. This could be in the bank. This is a place where it's very safe. You're not going to lose money. You're not going to gain a lot of money. It's not a lot of interest involved there. It's just your safety fund. Investing, on the other hand, it's the stock market, or even real estate, or other investments that may be a little riskier. So with an investment, you may see those ups and downs. Often when people look at the stock market and there's a down day, people get really upset. And for me, I don't, because I know that tomorrow may be an up day. 9 times out of 10, the stock market's going up. People seem to just focus on those days when it goes down. If you don't invest, your money will not grow. If you just put it in a savings account, if you put a few $100s in a savings account. In a few years down the road, you're just going to have a few $100s. Now, back in 2010, with interest rates being low, you could, save some money. And 5 years down the road, you're not going to have any more. But if you invest it, if you put it in, that $200 you invested 5 years ago, if it's an investment, you may have $300 in 5 years. Hi, everyone. So sorry about that. We have a bad storm coming through the area. So I'm sure
I am back.
We will reconnect in just a moment. Yep, thank you so much for your patience. We can't control Mother Nature, unfortunately. So let's go back to Dr.
Hi there. Now I think I'm not clear though. Can you see me okay? Okay. Yeah, my electric just went off and then came back on suddenly. So maybe it'll happen again, but I hope not. Yeah, because I would like to finish my talk and then get to your questions. Okay, so we were talking about investing. When you invest, there is a risk involved. Yes, but we're humans and we tend to focus on the negative. Well, risk is such a bad thing. You also can look at it as a good thing, right? Without investments, you can't save enough money for the things that you need. So I would strongly encourage you all to look into investing. It can be complicated. I'm not going to walk you through all of that. I would just encourage you to think about it. If you need more information about investing, I would get in touch with a financial advisor who can walk you through all of the details about the different types of investments and which types are right for you. I have some basic information here to get you started, but I would strongly encourage you to invest somehow, some way. That's really how you accrue wealth. So let's talk about, how do you eat an elephant? I really like that saying, because this elephant is this massive thing, right? And you can think about it as a giant savings account. I mean, an elephant has, tusks and big ears, and it's got a very large body, and you want to have a house and savings and retirement and all these other things too. Much like you would anything, you approach it one bite at a time. That's how you eat an elephant, and it's how you get control of your finances. You can't go full force and just dive in and eat the whole thing in one sitting like you can clean up your finances all at once. It takes time. A little bit at a time. Okay, next slide, which I think might be the last slide I have. Right, so have fun. Life isn't all just about money, even though we are talking about financial health. So a person in debt is so far a slave. That's Ralph Waldo Emerson, meaning if you have debt, it's this thing that hangs around your neck. You have to work to be able to have the money to pay back your debt. So your whole life is spent working just to pay back your debt. It's like living a life of slavery, right? If you want to be wealthy, think of saving as well as getting, right? You have to think of you have this money. It's not all about getting money. It's also about saving money. So don't just get it to spend it. You also need to save some of it, okay? You need to have something for later, because you won't be working forever, right? And if you spend all of the money that you earn, eventually when you can't earn any money via a job, then what will happen if you don't have anything in savings? And I'm not saying you have to be a miser and you can't spend any money on everything ever and you can't do anything fun. If you want chocolate or you want something nice, you want to treat yourself, and you want to donate money to an organization that you're passionate about, like NAD or Gallaudet, absolutely, you should contribute financially to things. If you want to tithe the money that you're earning in some way, that's fine. You can support other organizations. Those organizations that have supported you, feel free to give back financially and support them. Just save some for yourself along the way. And remember how I opened this workshop by saying, what's your goal? What's your vision? Where do you want to be in 5 years? or in 10, right? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Plan something to work towards and save towards, okay? Money is a tool to help you get where you want to go in the future, whether it's a big vacation for your family or paying for childcare or your child's college education or paying off your mortgage. Okay? Think about where you want to be. Set some goals 5 years from now, 10 years from now, right? 5 years from now, it'll be 2026. And then next thing you know, it's going to be 2031. You don't want to be in the same place where you are right now. You want to be able to improve your situation in 5 or 10 years from now. Okay, we can turn the screen off because that completes my formal presentation. And so now I'd like to get to some questions.
All right, thank you so much. If you place your question in the chat, I will sign it so everyone can see. Someone said they want to start investing, but don't know how, especially to vegan. Not exactly sure what that means, but how to start and how much?
I always say to start small with investments. Start small. And you know, investments, I know it looks complicated. You see all the stock market tickers on CNBC or CNN. And I'm saying, honestly, it's not as complicated as people make it look or seem, okay? You can read through financial statements on the website. There's many personal finance websites that will give you some advice as well. There's several different organizations or investment companies who want you to invest through them. So they'll give you a lot of information that's free to help you get started. You know, often it can be $100 or $200 a month. What if it's just, you know, maybe start with $100 a month and then go from there and put it in any organization you want. When you say vegan, I think you mean some kind of organization catering to sort of a vegan cuisine or lifestyle, and that's fine. Again, you can do, you know, there's Fidelity, there's T. Rowe Price, there's lots of different investment firms that provide a lot of information to investors to help you get started. And they also can put you in touch with a financial advisor. And again, I will have 2 more financial health workshops that I will be giving as a part of this series. And so look for more information upcoming, and I can look for more information for you as well on investments.
I believe in saving for sure. But I know that not everyone has that luxury because they may find themselves in a situation where they're low income. So any tips for people in that group to be able to save?
Yeah. And I was in a low income category economically for most of my life. I know exactly what that's like, scrimping and saving, trying to make it work with a very tight budget. I remember very well, you know, living on $15,000 a year and budgeting down to the penny, you know, to do it. There's still a way to figure out how to save something. I'm not saying that you'll always be able to save something or you'll be able to save a lot, but you'll be able to save something, right? So for example, the government has something called MyRA. They'll give you, I don't know, like if you put in $200, then they'll match $200 for your savings. This program is specifically tailored towards low-income families, so you could look into that. You also need to make a very careful budget for food. I know I threw out a lot of information in this session, and I don't want to overwhelm you because I don't know your specific circumstances, right? I don't want you to assume that everything I've been saying here applies to you, right? Some of these things I have done though. And so what I want you to do is say, okay, what can I do with what I have? Even if I have to start very small, even, you know, a good way to start is to say, okay, here's my income, here's my expenditures for the month. Is there any way you can get your income more than your expenditures? Okay. Because if you can't, if your expenditures exceed your income, then you need to figure out a way to increase your income. Even if it means debt in the short term, for example, to go to graduate school, here's my plug to come take graduate courses at Gallaudet, right? To be able to then earn more money with a graduate degree. You know, it's as simple as that. Reduce expenditures, increase income. And then of course, medical expenditures are a big issue for a lot of people. There are a lot of hospitals that are willing to work with people who have very high medical bills and are overwhelmed by setting up a payment plan. When you get handed a bill from a hospital, you don't have to just accept it. You can call and negotiate with the hospital. Is there any way they can reduce the bill in any way or put you on a payment plan so you can pay it off over time?
Several people have asked about copies of the PowerPoint, and
sure. I'm happy to give it to the alumni office for distribution.
Great. One question was about credit card debt. And the question is, how much % over the minimum should I be paying to get it paid off?
Right. So I did have a part about credit cards in this presentation, but I took it out in the interest of time. However, I think as much as you can comfortably pay over the minimum every month, that will help you pay off the credit card. And the sooner you can pay off the credit card, the better. Credit cards are designed to keep you in debt. And what I mean by that is, suppose you owe $100 and the minimum payment is $10. You still have $90 worth of debt. Then you have to add in an interest charge, which is like, another $5. So now you're $95 in debt. So you paid $10, but you really only paid $5. The next month, you owe then $96, right? And then add interest to that after you've made your minimum payment with charges. So now you still owe $91. You think, I've already spent $20, but I've only paid down $9 worth of the debt. It's because of interest charges, and they reoccur every month. This is an ongoing issue, right? It may take you 4 years to pay off $100 just paying the $10 minimum every month. So as much as you can comfortably afford to pay off over the minimum is what you should do every month, because the interest on the credit card is just killer, right? You'll never find any ability to pay down the debt or get any savings if you're only paying the minimum and you keep accruing all of the interest charges, right? Credit cards are like 10, 15, 20% interest rates. They're extremely high, right? You should just pay it off. It's so much better to do that versus, because the interest rate is so high compared to other types of loans.
Oh, we've got a lot of questions coming in. I know
I'm sorry.
It's a important topic. Do you have any authors that you recommend for our viewers to read to get more information?
There are many. Off the top of my head, Suze Orman is a good one, Suze Orman. Dave Ramsey. Dave, just to let you know, has a very religious background. And so he has a little bit of a preachy kind of a style, but he's still, there's so many. If you look at any bookstore in the financial section, you'll see just rows of books. I think they all pretty much have the same advice, to be honest. The three I trust in are, looking at your income, having a good savings plan, which means getting your debt down to zero, and making investments. Those are kind of the three pillars to any financial management strategy, right? You can read, and I've read a lot of the literature, and it comes down to having ample income, having savings, making investments. And by having savings, that means you have to first get rid of all your debt in order to build up savings. And then you need to also make investments. If you do those three things, you'll be fine.
Another person asked, if there was one thing you could go back and change with financial planning, what would it be?
Well, I'm lucky because I've been pretty good with money, so I'm very lucky. But previously, I did get myself into a bit of debt. This was quite a while ago, and I paid so much in credit card interest and fees. It was just so much, and it was very hard to get out of debt, especially the credit card debt. And that happens to a lot of people that are living in poverty, right? Remember I said I was living on $15,000 a year, right? At that time I was single and didn't have any other family members, but I was barely scraping by. And so I ended up putting things on the credit card to make up for my lack of cost of living affordability. And that took me a really long time to get out of it. Once I did, I swore I would never do it again. So I still used credit cards, right? They're a tool. But, whatever I put on a credit card at the end of the month, I pay off fully. And so it took me a while to get there, though, to be debt free. And some people aren't there yet. And I get it. It's fine. If you can, get a second job if you need to, right? Or a third job. I used to work 3 jobs. Okay. I know what that feels like, but do whatever you need to do to have enough income to pay off your debt. That's really the thing that holds most people back is debt, especially credit card debt.
So another question is, online investing a good idea? And do you have a recommended company like TD Ameritrade or another one? What do you recommend, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, online investment is a good option, especially with a lot of investment companies that let you do it through the computer. So robo investing is what they call it. And there's less expenditures when you manage that yourself through a computer. And people think, oh, it's only a 1% fee, which doesn't sound all that significant, right? But if you have $100 that you're investing, 1% of that, it's like $1,000 every year, which ends up being a lot of money at the end of the year. So, or 3% is like $300 versus your $100 for 1%, right? So you the percentage fee can add up to several $100s a year or even into the thousands. And so some like 0.2, 0.3, 0.5% or below would be good ones to invest in. Fidelity is a good firm. Vanguard. There's a lot of good firms out there. I'm not going to sort of, recommend one specific company. I think there's many of them out there. You just have to look for yourself and just look at their service fees that they're charging you.
What's the difference between investing and saving and an emergency fund? Is there a difference?
Well, they can be the same thing, right? So savings means that you're just putting money away and you're saving it. Often people save for a purpose, right? So they're saving for a wedding, or they're saving to be able to have a down payment on a house in a year or two, right? You wouldn't invest any of that money because then you can't get it out of the stock market, or the stock market is unpredictable. So, depending on how volatile the stock market is, you don't want to take a chance that you'll end up with less money than you started with. So people will put that into a separate savings account. We'll talk about the stock market on another time, but right. Savings or an emergency fund, it's just money that you have put aside, and you could have a separate emergency fund, or you could just consider your savings your emergency fund. Okay. Some people put, $500 or $1,000 in an emergency fund and then $500 in savings. You could split it up that way or combine it.
Another person mentioned that they've met with financial advisors, but always feel like they're speaking above their heads. Why do they do that? Any thoughts on that? Well, you know what? It's their job. Their job is to make money, right? And the way they make money is by maybe giving you a little too much information. You think, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about, even though maybe you don't understand all the ins and outs. And then you give them your money to invest. But to be honest with you, 90 to 95% of us can manage our own money. We don't need a financial advisor. Some people who are completely ignorant of finances may need that kind of assistance, especially if maybe math isn't your strong suit. But many of us are afraid of managing your money and making a mistake. Those folks also may want to hire a financial advisor. But I would encourage you to hire someone who charges a fee, not a percentage. So you pay it whatever they charge for 2 hours, they give you a plan, they give you tips, and then you'll be done with them. Don't hire someone without a fee, because then what happens is then there are hidden costs. They build in their fees every year as they are investing your money, and then you don't necessarily see it, but it's there, and often much more than if you just paid a one-time hourly rate. I also support the idea of giving in the deaf ecosystem and making sure that there are deaf financial advisors out there. So using their services is highly recommended.
Right. And as you said, life happens. So car repairs, unexpected house repairs as well. What would you recommend for financial planning for healthcare expenses like medical, dental, vision, especially those unexpected ones?
So really, insurance is really important, having medical insurance. After the Affordable Care Act came into existence, there's lots of options out there. And and you can get them at very reasonable rates. And they're often based on your income. So you might just get charged $50 a month to have health insurance. And then at tax time, you end up getting your money back. So that's the very first thing I would say when it comes to medical expenses, to make sure that you have health insurance. Because healthcare can easily add up to, I don't know, $100,000 in debt. If you have some sort of severe something happen, you're going to definitely be overwhelmed with that. And then the second thing is, again, that life happens fund, saving as much as you can. You don't want to have to use it for healthcare. You would rather use your money for fun things, but that's where insurance comes in. I think my dental insurance cost me like $30 or maybe $20 a month or something. It's not expensive. And I have dental insurance to help pay for, you can also, to help pay for dental care. You can get dental and eye coverage together. A lot of us feel pretty overwhelmed with these kinds of things, but there are options out there. And Google is your friend. When I first graduated from college, I didn't have that. Information is readily available, but Google is your friend.
Someone's saying for mutual funds, which a good percentage of growth to expect annually? Is that a better comparison with the Dow?
So the stock market in the US has averaged about 10 to 12%. Some years, it may be down 20%. So if you're investing $1,000 and you look and you see, oh my gosh, I've lost money and I'm down to 7%, you've got to have the guts. You got to stay with it. You got to stick with it. Don't be looking at it every day. Also, the same is true where if, oh, look, it's gone up by 500. Now you take the money out because you got this money. No, you got to leave it in there and let it grow. The worst thing you can do is taking your money out, because then you've locked in the loss, especially if you're losing money. Ride through the down times, and that 10 to 12% is an average. Over the last couple of years, it's gone up by 20%. But then in a year or two from now, maybe it'll go down by 20%. We don't know. But you just got to ride through the down times and keep it going. Remember that you're investing for the long term. On average, you're looking at about 10%. If you're investing in stock, with the United States economy, the expectation is growth, there's innovation, there's jobs. That's what investing in stock means, that you have the confidence in the United States economy.
For the audience, we have about 5 minutes remaining for questions. I just want to remind you that this is the first part in a series of 3 lectures. So the next one will be in November, and then the one after that will be in February. They will go into a lot more depth in terms of the detail and knowledge about financial health management, looking at investment. Any other questions before we close the current session for this evening? Someone asked, are there any deaf financial advisors out there?
Oh, sure. I don't want to give names, but definitely you can Google and look it up. Deaf Financial Advisor, you will find several Gallaudet alumni, and I highly encourage you to go out and support them.
This is your last opportunity as audience members to ask questions to Dr. Rashid.
Okay.
Someone said, what does a spending plan worksheet look like? And is there somewhere they could find a template for that?
So I didn't put anything on my slides, but again, Google is your friend. A spending plan, what I said, 60 or 70% spending. There's other plans out there, but if you go to Google and take a look, you're going to find some that says how much you should spend on food, how much you should spend on housing, how much if you want to go to the Bahamas, how much you need to put aside for that. And then if you're saying, if the bank tells you you can buy a house for $500,000, it probably means you can really only afford $300,000 unless you want to eat ramen noodles for the rest of your life. So think about those things too. And you can also look at some other resources. If you think about you're spending all that money on your housing, you become house poor, you won't have money for the other expenses that you have in your life. So it's important to consider that when budgeting. You're also think about your values. If you value travel, make sure you budget for a healthy travel budget. So start with your values and go from there. The spending plan should be in line with your values, not the other way around.
Dr. Rashid, there were a lot of people thanking you. I'd also like to give you a round of applause. I'm sure everyone would do the same. We greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing this wealth of information with us. Yes, the accolades are just coming in the Q&A chat box. So again, everyone in the audience, thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for your attention. And here at Alumni Relations, our goal is to share resources and information with all of you alumni so that we can continue our learning and share this information with you as our wonderful community members. Keep your eye out for more webinars forthcoming in the future. Again, thank you for your time this evening, Dr. Rashid. We all appreciate it.
And also thank you for giving up an hour of your time tonight. I wish I could have seen everyone's face, but next time. Bye, everyone.
Absolutely. Good night, everyone.